The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Gotham cries in darkness, villains reign supreme. City streets are twisted, shattered like a dream. A father's hand, a twisted fate, shadows cast in stone. Thomas stands beside Bane, turning blood to bone. They said the bat was broken, brought down to his knees, but the dark won't be conquered, no, not so easily. City of Bane under his control. City of Bane firing every soul. Rules causing venom, fear takes its toll. City of Bane, but the night claims all.
The night claims all, Jesse Starcher of the Source Material Podcast.
It does, as a matter of fact. And if if you could have got away with it, that could have been like KNIGHT. Yeah. The night claims all. Yeah. Right.
So
My goodness.
I went to chat. I went to our mutual girlfriend because we are now in a.
Oh, we're in a throuple?
We're in a. Well, it's not a throuple. I guess that would be depending on our relationship. If we don't have a relationship, like
okay.
ChatGPT is the hinge in our V. And we're up here.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now
right.
it's a throuple or a triad if you have a relationship with me and ChatGPT and vice versa. Anyway,
I gotcha. Okay.
So yes, our mutual girlfriend ChatGPT. I went to her and I said, "Give me a summary of Tom King's conclusion to his run on Batman City of Bane," and it gave me a couple of paragraph summary. And I went, "This is fantastic. Turn this into song lyrics, but it has to go along with the rhythm and the beat of City of Flame with rock and roll.
Cities of Flame. Rock and roll.
Yeah, City of Bane with rock and right? City of Bane.
I got you.
City of Flame. I always got like a song in my head, right? So
Sure,
I'm like,
a little template.
Yeah. It was you know what? Going all the way back. How far back, Jesse?
Way back.
Way back. You remember when we were kids? Back in the day, we were kids. We ain't young anymore. Where you had me on for the Hulk, Planet Hulk.
I do remember that, yeah.
And I kept saying, "This is Planet Hulk, da 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 da." Duran Duran. Remember that?
Oh yes.
These many years later, I'm still the same person.
Still singing.
Still singing. And and I was like, all right. When I think of City of Bane, I'm thinking Blue Oyster Cult, not Godzilla. City of Flame with rock and roll. So I was like, all right, write me a song that is City of Flame with rock and roll, but instead it's City of Bane. And I threw that into Suno.ai with
beautiful
song lyrics. And it's so funny because like the genre is Blue Oyster Cult.
That's the genre.
The genre is Blue Oyster Cult.
And it took it.
Aggressive guitar music. I think it was Blue Oyster Cult, aggressive guitar music. City of Flame with rock and roll is a genre. And then I think I threw like electric guitar in there.
Okay.
And it gave me two different ones. One was a little bit more metal than the other, and I ran into the same problem I ran into with more dinosaurs, where I'm like, I like this, but it's not what I'm looking for. It's nice, but he's too big. So
he's too big.
So we'll hear. So at the end of this is your podcast. I don't know like why I'm talking to you, but
I like it.
At the end of this podcast, much like we did with Badman Sid, we will play vroom vroom. We will play the entire City of Bane song. I got it uploaded and ready.
Right. So yeah, we're doing Source Material live tonight on the StreamYard. So I'm excited. We're going to be divvying this up for my podcast into 3 episodes. However,
and you know why I forced you into this?
Tell me why.
One, because of Gargoyles and Serial. Like, if you can go live with them, I don't know why you can't go live with me. It's not fair.
Well,
so,
did I go live?
I mean, we put up the Gargoyle footage after that one wasn't live, but I think Serial went live.
Serial, I don't think went live. I
Oh,
think it was recorded.
no,
That
doesn't
doesn't either way, hey, I'm okay. I'm okay with going live. What was that was reason one. Was there
matter.
another reason?
Yeah, because we can't share the audio from Spreaker anymore.
Oh,
So if I don't do this, none of the source material stuff's going up on our YouTube.
on W2M.
Yeah.
All right, right,
And
right,
you
right.
can't duplicate the same video. There has to be some difference in them. So I figure we'll just throw the raw audio up of your show and the raw video rather up of your show, and then you can cut it up and it'll show up proper on the source material YouTube page.
Okay. Well, as
It's a
long as
lot
you
of
got all
inside
that.
baseball for this Batman podcast.
Yeah, as long as you've got it all figured out, I trust your judgment.
City
Trust
of Bane with rock and roll.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, let's kind of set the stage here, and we're going to get into our first 5 issues. But I need to know, Mark,
Yes, sir.
tell me why City of Bane. Why are we doing this?
Tell me why I'm such a fan of Batman. Tell me why I really like the Bane character. Tell me why I don't totally hate Tom King.
Don't
Uh,
totally hate him.
I liked his Vision series. No,
Oh, we did like that. Yes,
we
it was
did
good.
like that one. Tell me why. So it's been sitting on my shelf, and we're going through Mark's shelf. Occasionally I throw up other stuff that I'm interested in, and I kind of create like our trilogy recording session that we do. And if you look at your schedule for next year, you'll see the madness that I have unfurled upon you.
Oh no! Oh goodness!
But yeah, it was. I bought the City of Bane. I started a couple of Christmases ago reading the Tom King run. I think I got as far as like I Am Gotham and I Am Suicide.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I did the first couple of trades. At least like the 3 or 4. I didn't read the button. But but I got pretty far into I think like the first 20 issues of the Tom King run. And then Jesse, in one of the more infamous source materials, you did a what you reading. And yeah, I re-listened to that recently, and I went on a whining, crying fucking fit over the wedding. I
Oh, the
was
wedding.
mad. I just told my kids about that. I made them come in and listen to the City of Bane song, and my son's like, "Oh, can I have that comic? Can I read it?" And I'm like, "Sure, you can." He's like, "What do I need to know from this?" Like, we need to know that Catwoman left Batman at the altar.
Mhm.
And my daughter's like, Catwoman was gonna marry Batman, oh! And then she joined the 4B movement. That's gonna be a dated joke in about a month. And then my son was like, "Is there anything I need to know?" And I'm like, "Well, you need to know that Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint universe is Batman. You need to know that Bane made Catwoman leave Batman at the altar." And then he was just like, "I'll just read the comic. Never mind." Like, he ran away. And he ran away.
I don't know. I don't know about all that, man. You got to know kind of what you're getting into sometimes.
Yeah,
so I
this
get it.
the conclusion of that. Right? It's like issues like what 75 to 85, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I read the first 20 issues. I read The Wedding, which was issue 50.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hadn't read anything leading up to. I had to go back and like read some Wikipedia and some like Reddit stuff to understand what the fuck is happening in this book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I just thought it was a cool title. I like Tom King mostly, though as we discussed when we discussed The Wedding, like his interpretation of Batman really pissed me off. Like Batman can't ever be happy, so he can't marry Catwoman. And I was like, no. Which he somewhat resolves in this story.
Right.
But yeah, I like the Bane character, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about it with you. We haven't done like just a regular comic book in a while. I feel like we've been doing a lot of oddities lately.
Yeah. I was just looking at some of the stuff that we've done in the past here. I remember we did The Mask.
Mm-hmm.
We did Sons of Anarchy. We're kind of rolling through that. Vroom vroom.
Vroom.
And but yeah. So I remember us talking about The Wedding, and I had forgot what happened when I got into this book. So I couldn't remember, and I stopped reading at that point.
You You know what happens?
Well, you kind of explained it a little bit,
No,
but
no,
go
no.
ahead.
You know what happens, Jesse?
Tell me.
I'm gonna call you Bat for the rest of the episode, and you'll just call me Cat.
Oh, is that
And
how it's going to work?
So Bat, what did you think of this panel? So Cat,
Right. Yeah.
ugh. Bat, I love you.
Mm.
I love you, Cat. I love you, Bat.
Mm. Yeah. It was kind of rough to get through a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it was. When we actually get to it, I have some words about Tom King's writing style, especially the dialogue between
Dialogue
between Bat and Cat.
Yeah. Well, I stopped after the wedding.
Mhm.
I didn't continue to pick it up. So you've definitely read more. Some of the storylines that you were mentioning, I had to do the same thing. You know, we're coming in
Mhm.
at the end of this large run, so I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, what, who, where, when? You know, I was really confused because we had two Batman in this thing, and of course, what we find out is the Flashpoint Batman is stuck around, and he's now.
I really wish I had read the button.
There's a lot where you're like sitting there going,
Mm.
you need to know this stuff
Yeah,
somehow.
for sure.
If you can't give this to somebody and go, here you go,
Yeah,
without
like I
explaining
just
them.
did to my
Just like you
son.
did. Yeah, just like you did. So there's a lot of stuff that I had to do my research on too. But it sounds like you read some of those stories that kind of were pretty essential to leading up to this. You mentioned I Am Suicide. I Am Bane. I Am Bane.
I think it's like I Am Gotham. I Am Suicide.
I Am Gotham.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
like I said, like I had to jog my memory as to who Gotham Girl was because she's at the beginning of the Tom King run.
Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know. I had no clue who this person was. So yeah, again, something that you probably had a little bit of a leg up on. I had to go and research things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our main characters, obviously Bane's going to be involved here. Thomas Wayne, folks. Thomas Wayne, from the Flashpoint. Right, from the Flashpoint universe, is a Batman in Gotham that is serving under Bane's rule, I guess you would say.
Yep.
And yes, Gotham Girl, who is a super powered sidekick. Who, and when we say super powered, I mean it's not just she's got limited superpowers. She is pretty powerful. So we'll just put it that way, and I'll talk about an example of that here in a few moments. But she's definitely for a young girl, she is very, very powerful. And then of course we have Batman, who at the start of this has been broken again, and he's on his way to try and find something called the memory of the mountain to remember something. Or I don't know if he's remembered something or finding something. Actually, no, I know what he's trying to do. He's going there because he hid something in the mountain. But either way, he's scaling this mountain, and that's kind of where we start off with issue 1. But real quick, what I'll do, unless you got anything else you want to get off your plate here, I'll talk about, we're going to do 5 issues here this first segment. 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. All right. And I'm just going to kind of go through and read a few sentences on each issue, and then I'm going to throw some questions at you, let you turn you loose here.
Okay. Do you want me to sing my answers?
I don't know. I don't know. You might want to put that out there to the audience,
okay,
and find out, and then they will put out a poll, see what you get. Tell me the results. Until then,
if you want me to sing my answers to Jesse, send him genitalia pictures to.
Don't send me that.
If you
do not
send genitalia pictures to Jesse, I will.
I do not need it. You can see it says Mark Radulich on TikTok. Somehow converse with him there. I don't need to see it. All right. So here we go. Issue 75. Gotham City is completely under Bane's control. So that's why we're going to start things out. And he has created the City of Bane, where he enforces strict, violent order through Gotham's villains. Flashpoint Batman Thomas Wayne serves as a twisted enforcer of justice, and Bane holds Alfred hostage to keep the Bat family out of the city. Meanwhile, Batman, recovering outside of Gotham, is beginning to prepare his return. In issue 76, Gotham is shown to be a police state under Bane's rule, with villains like Scarecrow and Victor Zsasz patrolling the streets as the Gotham City Police Department, the GCPD. Outside Gotham, Catwoman helps Bruce recover both physically and mentally, rekindling their connection and his resolve. In Gotham, Gotham Girl aggressively enforces Bane's law, quickly defeating the powerful Captain Atom, as the U.S. government has ordered no heroes to interfere with Bane's Gotham. In issue 77, Damian Wayne, who is Robin, sneaks into Gotham, intending to challenge Bane and free Alfred. Though he manages to temporarily subdue Thomas Wayne, Damian's actions backfire, and in a devastating turn, Bane murders Alfred in front of him to send a brutal message to Batman and his allies. The Bat family is left reeling from the loss, adding urgency to Batman's mission to reclaim Gotham. And then in issue 78 and 79, we take a little bit of a detour and we're hanging out with Bruce and Selena Kyle and his recovery. They continue to prepare for the return, training and reaffirming their bond on a remote, I don't know if this is a remote island, some beach place, tropical setting of some sort. They discuss their future together, and Catwoman's love and support help Bruce heal emotionally from his recent defeats. This issue serves these two issues actually, serve as a quiet, introspective moment, strengthening Batman's resolve and his relationship with Catwoman before they face the coming battle. So there you go. That's ChatGPT's synopsis for all 5 issues there.
As read by the great, learned, eloquent Jesse Starcher. And
you do not want AI reading that stuff.
No.
You want to have a human touch.
You'll make people cry.
Human touch there. All right, so we kind of touched on this already. We're opening up with issue 75. My first question to you was, how lost were you? But you kind of already filled some of that in. When
I cracked the book open, I really didn't know where I was in the story. I knew it was the end of the Tom King run. I knew it followed the wedding. And the wedding, the last panel is Catwoman kneeling before Bane, doing as he had wished, which was leading him to the altar and then leaving him there, and basically, implying that in order for him to be Batman, he can't ever be happy, which I thought was bullshit at the time, and I'm doubling down on that. But this picks up 25 issues later, and I thought I was in an alternate universe.
So that was the same thing that was going through my head, and I knew a little bit about the Thomas
Wayne. It fucking opens with the Riddler and the Joker doing, homicide, life on the street.
Right.
Like, I'm like, what universe are we in that the Joker acts this normal? What universe are we? It's one of the things I don't like about this story is they treat the Arkham criminals like they would be otherwise functional human beings,
right?
Capable of policing a city. And I understand they're just acting as goons, but what makes the Joker, Scarecrow, Riddler, Mad Hatter such menaces is that they're unpredictable.
Right.
They don't work in structures. Like a lot of these, one of my favorite things that we ever read was Salvation Run, because it illustrated just how much these villains can't get along with each other.
Yeah.
There's too much ego involved. There's too much insanity involved. They're kind of like the juveniles I work with in the jail. They all have to be separated because if you put them together, they'll fight each other like Siamese fighting fish.
I want to throw this out there. Did you know anything about the Psycho Pirate at all and what his powers were?
Yeah, because he's in the earlier. I remember him vaguely from the early Tom King Batman stuff.
It took me a few to figure out. Like, I think that's why most of the villains are kind of behaving the way that they are.
You're not wrong about that. Yeah, they're using Psycho Pirate to do a lot of mind control. So it's solving for a lot of that insanity and unpredictability that I was talking about.
Right. They still are. Brutal enforcers of whatever law there is. But and it's weird. Yeah, you're right. When you open this up and you see the Joker and freaking Riddler doing a homicide investigation, you see Professor Pig, I think was his name, the guy with the pig mask, as running around as a cop. And who was it? I think there's one issue where it shows Killer Croc pull somebody over because of a traffic violation. It's so freaking weird.
Yep.
So I was right
I
there
think
with you. I
at one
I
point
didn't know
in the
where I
story,
was.
it's like Killer Croc hanging out with fucking Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday.
Right. So it's just it was strange. And I've already kind of said it was a tough one to pick up if you had no idea what was going
Right.
on in
And
Tom
God
King's
help
run
you if you didn't
beforehand.
read the button.
Oh yeah. I mean, because you're looking at Thomas Wayne as Batman, and you're trying to figure out, like, if you would have thought this was Bruce in some
Right.
capacity, you would have been, what in the world is going on? I'm
Well,
so confused.
I figured out early enough that wasn't really Bruce Wayne, but then I'm just like, wait, how did Thomas Wayne? Aren't you dead? Isn't that the whole thing? You're dead. And then I was
Uh-huh.
like, okay, it's Thomas Wayne from the Flashpoint universe, except that didn't we do away with the Flashpoint universe
Right.
when they concluded Flashpoint? And not to be
Right.
that guy, but didn't Flashpoint go away once they started the new 52?
I mean, I hear you. I would have had I don't know why this guy was alive. I had,
Right.
when I picked this up and started reading it, I was like, why is this dude still alive? Obviously, we learn later that, yeah, this whole universe should have died, but at one point he was somehow brought into ours by the Reverse Flash and left. And of course, he is now part of the
This is
regular
why
universe.
This is why everyone hates the multiverse, by the way.
What do you think of Gotham Girl?
She's fine. She kind of. Do you remember when we did the Supergirl story last year?
Mhm.
And we were talking about, like, she's just trying to figure out how to be a superhero, and she sometimes doesn't know her own strength, and a lot of it is, no one's doubting her power. It's her judgment and her self-control that's the problem. Kind of reminds me of that iteration of
Okay.
Supergirl.
All right. Like I said, I had no idea who this girl was. I didn't. Going into this cold, it's kind of tough, But yeah, you watch her come out and she helps Thomas fight off. I think that was Solomon Grundy, and I don't know who the dude with all the earrings was, but obviously he was very powerful. But she's definitely a heavy hitter. And then when she faces off with Captain Atom, I was like,
Him slapped the
okay,
fuck out of him.
yeah, dude, and launched him like a city away. And I was like, holy, she's very, very, very capable of handling them. And then, of course, throughout the book, you hear about how she possibly her brother took on the JLA, Captain Atom, who can sometimes beat up Superman in certain situations. This girl is nothing to mess with.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what was going on. We learned a little bit more about her later. Right. But then we get our big moment of these first 3 issues, and that is the death of Alfred. What are your thoughts?
The death of Alfred wasn't impactful to me until Batman found out about it, which we'll talk about in the next segment or two. So here's my other problem with this. I'm already dealing with dead characters that are still in this book. Thomas Wayne shouldn't be there. I'm dealing with Riddlers and Jokers who are acting as homicide detectives. I'm dealing with this, through the Looking Glass iteration of Gotham under Bane. So my thing was just like, I don't know if he's really dead. Maybe that's a clone.
That could be a clone.
Maybe that's Alfred from another dimension. I don't know. Like, it was hard. That's my problem. Like, it's hard to take anything in the book too seriously because it's so easily undone by multiverse or by any other explanation of, what is it that Ben Colon always says? The only people that ever stayed dead are Uncle Ben and one other character. Like, the very fact that comic books don't follow their own continuities, they bring back, they get you to buy into the death of a character, and then they bring that character back because why not? And we're doing it in the movies now too. We all bought into Endgame with the death of Robert Downey Jr. and his Iron Man character just to recast him as Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
This is why my son doesn't like the Marvel movies anymore, because he's just like, there's no stakes, nobody ever dies. Like nobody's death. I can't take it seriously because they won't follow through on it. And so when he snaps Alfred's neck, I was like, okay, and
Ooh.
it, because I don't know, like, are they gonna bring him back to life? Dude, there's a fucking hot tub that they can throw people in to bring them back to life.
Yeah.
Go
One of the things that I have, the Lazarus pit, right?
Yeah, go teabagging in the Lazarus pit. You'll come back to life. You'll be all right. Okay, so we're going to talk about this tomorrow on Ash vs. Evil Dead season 3. I have it's the same problem with that show. At some point, death is meaningless, and so we're killing characters, and they're literally communicating from beyond the grave, like we are right now on StreamYard, possibly better.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard, It's hard for me to have emotional buy-in when you treat death as a minor hurdle at best. It's I feel like the pitch meeting guy was like, and then they snapped Alfred's neck. It was like, well, is he dead? Well, it's just what is it that the pitch meeting guy says? It's like, minor convenience or something like that.
Minor inconvenience.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, really?
Well, this is, I think, one of the main logs to the fire that they throw out at Tom King. Remember, Chris Bailey, I think, was the first one that I've heard say this, is that Tom King has no compunction. He will walk into a room and break all the furniture and leave.
Right.
And a lot of people got upset about the fact that he killed off Alfred. As a matter of fact, my buddy Derry added one to it. He said he would leave and he wouldn't even offer to help clean up. He'd just leave. That's pretty much what Tom King is kind of known for.
Tom King. He didn't do that with the Vision series.
No, I don't recall that being. It's been a while since I've read it, but I don't recall that being that controversial at all.
Have you heard? Because I've for the longest time, his Mr. Miracle run was beloved.
I heard about that. Yeah,
it was on everyone's top 10, and I hadn't heard that he ran into DC, broke all the furniture on Mr. Miracle either. So I don't know where he's getting this from. That Tom King, ruins everything.
Wasn't Tom King the guy that wrote the Depression? What was that? Doomsday Clock? Was that the one that we read? What was the one where it was?
Doomsday Clock is something that we did. We did it for Watchmen Week.
What was the one that had Flash? Not Barry Allen, but Wally West. In a very he was the murderer.
Heroes in Crisis.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was Tom King, right?
People wanted to murder Tom King for Heroes in Crisis.
There you go. There's your big log on the fire. A lot of people hated that because he took Wally West and did what he did with him. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to kill off a beloved character like Alfred, but then when you turn Wally West into a murderer, it's a different thing. Yeah. So anyway,
he got death threats for Heroes in Crisis, which we covered.
It doesn't surprise me.
Which we covered on the Source Material podcast without music.
And our 4th and 5th issue, just to round this out here, and I'll let you have the floor with anything. Our 4th and 5th issue is the beginning of the reconciliation between Cat and the Bat. So, I'm glad you kind of brought up the wedding, because obviously that's a big part here going into this and what actually happened. So, it seems like Bruce has probably got some bad feelings about what's going on, and they have a lot to work out, but that's kind of what they get done between the 4th and 5th issue here, to where it seems like there's a quote that he says, "I couldn't put anyone above the vow." So it's also, it sounds like Batman or Bruce had his reservations as well. The vow, and what he means is the vow to protect Gotham, I believe is what he's saying. But by the end of it, go ahead.
Let me tell you how I have a major problem with that interpretation of Batman.
Okay.
And it's a very personal thing. So I do, for extra money, I do online therapy through BetterHealth. And one of the things I'll say to my patients is, I'm not here to do therapy with you interminably. I am here to give you the tools to help yourself. let's figure out what's going on with you. Then let's figure out what some of your tools in your tool belt can be, and then I'm going to teach you to use them, and then you're going to go use them, and we're going to be done. I am a kind of a shit therapist in that way because I'm constantly putting myself out of business. I also direct people to ChatGPT, which I've gotten 1 or 2 comments of like, you're going to get no clients this way because they're going to, what would the use for you be? And it's funny because I was in therapy for over a year because of everything that happened in the past too. And I ended it. And part of the reason why I ended it was when I'm having difficulties, I go to ChatGPT and I'll either put in like text messages I've received or just kind of like what's going on with that situation. And the ChatGPT will give me the feedback that I'm looking for.
Right.
Batman's approach to Gotham should have been, I am here to get Gotham to the place where it can defend itself. I'm not here, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. And I hate the interpretation of Batman that basically Bruce Wayne no longer exists. He's just Batman, and he's going to do this forever. To the point where they've like Tom King writes him almost as if he's got a death wish.
Oh yeah.
I want my it feels like the character from Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan. Like my destiny is to die in battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Batman being traumatized by the death of his parents in the alley by Joe Chill would traumatize him such that like, well, I feel like I need to do something so that this doesn't happen to another child. But at some point, he should also want to move on with his life.
Right.
And he just wants to be Batman forever and doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. And then, this interpretation, this storyline where he's fallen in love with Cat. Not the cat.
The cat.
Not the cat. Not Catwoman. Cat. And she, of course, is in love with Bat.
Oh, yes, she is.
So, and they talk to each other that way because that's how humans talk.
Sure. They're both messed up in the head.
Yeah.
So you can't, they both have these hang-ups, and that, I mean, I think that's how they identify each other too when they see each other.
It's like he's like horny for Catwoman, but that's still, and this is the only like really like realistic thing about this entire story, where Catwoman's sort of realizing that no matter how much Batman loves her, she'll always be second to his duties as Batman, and ain't no woman gonna tolerate that.
Mm-hmm.
You go to work so that you can pay the bills, but the woman must come first.
Well,
and
she
he's
finds
like, that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, she finds as happy as a medium as she can.
Yeah,
and that's to do that with him. I mean, it's good that they both have this one thing that they enjoy doing together.
It
and
would have
that
made
is
her leaving him at the altar much more effective and much more painful. Had her reasoning for leaving him be, I don't want to be second to Gotham.
Right.
Instead
It's
of
believable.
Yeah, which she does tell him, and you're led to believe that is it, but then it's completely undercut by Bane made her do it.
Mm.
Right. Because it's to me, it is believable that she would be like, I'm not going to compete with your death wish to defend Gotham to the death. How can I compete with that? Like, I want you to love me for me and put me first, and you're never going to, and so I don't want to stick around to watch you die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that seems reasonable to me. And they don't totally resolve that in City of Bane.
I feel like as we're getting in these two issues here,
mm-hmm.
they're obviously Tom King's laying the groundwork for these two to come together again, try and work out their differences. But it also feels like it's baby steps to try and get to a point where Bruce is doing better. I feel like, and again, I didn't read everything going up to this, but I would imagine if he got left at the altar, he probably fell into a little bit of despair, a little bit of depression.
There was a bunch of different things. I think Bane breaks his back again, gets left at the altar. You know, I don't know all the things that happened between issue 50 and issue 75 that broke him mentally, but that's a big part of it.
I'm sure.
Is that so? I don't remember if you've ever covered Nightfall, but I've read the entire Nightfall saga.
Not the whole thing. I've never covered it, and I've never
Okay.
read the whole thing.
All right. I have the entire Nightfall saga trade paperback. It's the size of a telephone book.
It's massive.
Yeah. So it's all the stuff leading up to the breaking of the bat. Then it's the Azrael stuff. Then it's Nightwing beating Azrael for the mantle. Then it's Nightwing as Batman, and then it's the return of Batman. That's the entire Nightfall saga. And when they wrote Nightfall and they had the breaking of the bat, it was a physical thing. It was, I'm going to release everybody in Arkham. You know, and if you read Nightfall, it's the reason why I'm bringing this up. If you read Nightfall, Bane talks about, and Batman talks about, how he's physically exhausted. It's a good story because it's one of the more human Batman stories, where instead of him being just a stoic, unrelenting, vigilant, warrior, it's more of like, I have been doing Batman for a while now. I feel like I'm going in concentric circles. What is life? Like, he's really questioning whether or not Batman is useful in Gotham anymore. That's how Nightfall starts. Plus, he's physically exhausted. And then Bane sets loose everybody in Arkham. So now he's like running through the street, having to fight his entire rogues gallery.
The gauntlet, right.
And he's beat the fuck. He's like, and I mean, like, he's Batman, so he conquers everybody, but not without, like, he's pretty messed up by the time Bane challenges him in the street. And like, I remember the artwork for Nightfall in that scene where Batman's just like, like, God damn it. And part of the reason why Bane's able to beat him is because he's physically exhausted, and Bane's fresh.
Just to interject here, some great Sam Keith covers in that Nightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End, or whatever it is that you're talking. Sam Keith, Mark Radulich.
Okay,
Sam Keith.
Was he finally drawing with pencils instead of sponges?
Go back and look at some of those covers. You'll recognize exactly what I'm talking about. Some of those covers are, and it's. I don't think the Bane one is the iconic Bane breaking of the bat, but there's some good Sam Keith covers in there. Anyway, I derailed you. Continue.
Yeah. So the only point that I was trying to get to was he physically broke down Batman, and then he breaks his back, and and then Batman's out for a while. And Azrael ends up kicking the shit out of Bane. So what did Bane accomplish? So I think Tom King kind of looked at Nightfall and like, okay, what if Bane takes a second shot at Batman? What would he do differently? Which I think is an honestly genuine question. If you were the guy that broke the bat the first time and it didn't work, it didn't stick, what would you do the second time? And the second time is break him mentally. Have his woman betray him, do all these other things to him, and then at the end of all things, and then you break him physically.
Right.
And it's somebody had to have sat Tom King down and showed him The Dark Knight Rises, because this City of Bane almost takes like the tenor of that movie, shit as it is, right from that. Like I'm gonna do all of this stuff to you. Your world's gonna feel like it's crumbling, and then I'm gonna fight you, and you're not gonna be in the right headspace to defend yourself, and I'm gonna break your back. Lobster, perfect. That's the setup for City of Bane. So a lot of what's going on in the issues you were talking about with him and Catwoman is his trying to get his brain back together.
Right. Getting back on track. And I feel like Catwoman's also trying to get him to understand, like, you don't need to do this alone.
Yeah.
And as lonely as you were, we are coming to a consensus where our lives can actually, exist together. I can also help you. Yeah, I can also help you.
She wants to be his partner. She, this idea of, I can't. It's so funny because I think she even says at some point in the book, stop saying you can't let harm come to me. You put children in fucking tights and send them out into battle.
Right.
How many Robins have there been? Stop. You have the entire Bat family now. Stop saying you can't have help.
Right. All right. let's go ahead. I mean, I want to, unless there's anything left unsaid on your end in regards to what happens in these 5 issues, we can go ahead and end this episode here, and then we will move into, I don't know how you want to do plugs, but first off, let me give you the floor for anything else left unsaid.
No, and just so people watching live tonight, we're going to do the entire 10-issue run, but because Jesse breaks this up into 3 different audio episodes, we're going to take a brief break to do plugs in between each segment. But don't go anywhere because we're here for another hour. I have Jesse all night long.
Oh, night long, baby.
All night long.
I'll get him singing again. Why don't you go ahead and do some plugs then? What do you got going on here?
I'm just gonna say, because you'll put these up whenever the fuck you feel like it, and it won't relate to anything that's currently on the schedule. So I'm at Mark Radulich on TikTok, as you can see on the screen if you're listening to this on audio. Clips of this particular podcast and all my other podcasts, plus the ones I do on Movies That Don't Suck and some that do with Neil and Chris, are all on my TikTok, at Mark Radulich on TikTok. And then the long and short form videos are all on our YouTube page, W2M Network. We have a landing page, w2mnet.com, where you can find both the audio and the video of any podcast that we're doing or that Sean's doing. He does the video games podcast. So check all that out. Just check me out.
All right. Check it out, y'all. So my plugs will come in here in a recorded fashion at the end. So let's just move right on in to issues 80 through 82.
Can we ease on down?
Ease on down now?
Ease on down the road.
Well, oh.
Take 2. Ease on down the road. I said Jesse Starcher's going to ease on down that comic book road.
That's right, baby. All right, that's right. Issues 80 through 82. This is covering the second part of what we're discussing in regards to City of Bane.
You should go on Suno.ai and do a mashup of Ease on Down the Road and Copperhead Road.
And
but the devil.
So I throw that. Yeah, you throw that into ChatGPT and you say, okay, mash them up, and then you
Ease on Down the Road from the Wiz and Devil Driver's cover of Copperhead Road, and see the AI just fucking kill itself.
They're like, boom, ChatGPT is down. All right. So Batman number 80, Batman and Catwoman infiltrate Gotham, strategically taking down members of Bane's villainous police force one by one. They focus on moving in the shadows, weakening Bane's control over the city without drawing his immediate attention. As they progress, Batman is cold and methodical, showing no mercy to Bane's enforcers as he works to reclaim the city. In issue 81, the Bat family confronts Thomas Wayne, while Bruce and Catwoman further their agenda in freeing Gotham from Bane's reign. And the third issue we're going to be talking about, Batman 82, the long-awaited showdown between Batman and Bane takes place with brutal hand-to-hand combat between the two. Catwoman joins the fight to support Batman, proving her loyalty and skill. However, just as Batman seems to be gaining the upper hand, Thomas Wayne interferes, shooting both Bane and Batman, leaving a cliffhanger as Thomas asserts control, setting up for even more tension as for what is to come. Okay, I want to start here real quick. I want to throw an artist out here. You know, you and I, when we're talking comics, I know you're not the big art guy unless you're talking about.
And every time I express an opinion on artwork, you get mad at me. So
come on. So we get a couple issues, I think, here from John Romita Jr. And you may recognize his art usually from. Usually, if you're reading some 90s stuff, Daredevil. He was also the penciler for it's either Batman Punisher or Punisher Batman. I can't remember which one. But anyway, it was nice to see some John Romita Jr. art on some very recent Batman comics. I'm just going to throw that out there. What did you think of Bruce versus Bane? Masks off, baby.
Yeah. So I laughed. It took me a minute to remember what happened. And when you said mask off, I was just like, it was really funny to me because it was like, all right, that's it. It's like the Cartman thing. That's it. Me and you, mano a mano. And then, they totally cheat.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
The Catwoman hits him with the whip and they do all, and then he throws fucking ninja stars at him. little batarangs
What
and stuff.
they poison. I think they're laced with the super venom that supposedly is the power for Gotham Girl.
Yeah.
And this will also like overload Bane's system, if I remember correctly. So you take umbrage at the cheating?
No, I don't, because I think the idea of, look, not cheating is something you do in a sports competition. Okay, you want to see the two best. You want to see Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury have it out one more time in December for the heavyweight title of the world. No cheating. Make sure everything's on equal footing, because you want to see who is the best boxer. But if me and Jesse Starcher get into a sissy slap fight, yeah, I'm throwing dirt in your eye. I'm I'm kicking you straight in the balls. Like, and here's the thing. It's like, it would have been stupid if Batman was like, okay, you manipulated me, you manipulated the situation, you did all kinds of horrible things. Here, let me engage you in hand-to-hand combat on the field of battle. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I was talking to a coworker recently, and I was using this as a metaphor because we were talking about work. But I said, you can either walk in the line like a redcoat, or you can hide in the bushes like a revolutionary. And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I had to explain to her how warfare was done in the 1700s, with muskets. You know what I'm talking about, right? Or do I have to explain it to you too?
Well, feel free to explain it to the audience.
Okay. So the way warfare used to work is there were lines. There were lines of soldiers, and when you had muskets, you had one firing the muskets, one kneeling down and loading the muskets, and then they would trade, and you would march in giant lines, and the object of each battle was to break the other one's lines and send them scattering, and then you'd win the battle that way. And that's the way the British, the Redcoats, attempted to fight the Revolutionary War here in the U.S. And knowing that we were outgunned, outmanned, outmaneuvered, a lot of the revolutionaries like hid in the fucking trees. And so, and the British were like, unsporting chap,
No.
like,
How dare you?
it's like, well, this is not, and they were like, no, we have to use, in order to level the playing field, we have to use guerrilla tactics.
Whatever advantage we can get.
Right. If you want a more modern version of that, the Vietnamese were never going to match up to the military might of 20th century America. So instead, they had kids walk up with fucking bombs, or they hid in fucking rice paddies and shit. My point is, this isn't going to be why would this be a fair fight? Why would he want a fair fight? Bane has now on 2 different occasions broken Batman's back when they went mano a mano. What was going to be different? What was going to be Rocky? It's just like lean against the ropes and let him hit him until he gets out of breath.
Right. I think what stood out to me was, right there at the beginning, just like you said, mano a mano, let's go. And Bane's specifically like laying out rules like, okay, the cat's not involved, right? And he's like,
right,
no, she's not involved. And then he's like ready to go. And Bruce looks back and goes, okay, cat, go for it. And she like jumps in and starts, she starts helping out. I think obviously the point that Tom King's trying to get across here is the fact that Bruce is very comfortable with using somebody as help now. This isn't something where he is so obsessed. Yeah, he's so obsessed with trying to defeat and do this thing, because it's his cross to bear.
Yeah,
that's not the case anymore. He's very comfortable with letting
some. It's nothing to prove to Bane.
This
is about like, I just need to right the city and get you out of here. This isn't Rocky trying to beat the Russian, to avenge the death of his friend. He's trying to get a terrorist out of the city.
Right. Trying to end Bane's reign.
Yep.
So as we go further into this story and these 3 issues, Thomas Wayne, again, he's the Batman of Gotham at this point under Bane. Even though he appears to be a villain here, there's and again, I don't know what was leading up to this story, but you can see that there is a lot of concern Thomas has for his alternate reality son, Bruce. You know,
I've been
so we,
waiting for you to set me up to talk to this, and I didn't want to bring it up too soon, but this is probably the best part of the book for me.
I want to at least give our audience an idea of kind of what happened with I mean, just to kind of lay this out here, because the next series of 3 has my absolute favorite issue in this whole set of 11.
Mm-hmm.
But the quick and dirty of it is that the reason Thomas Wayne is Batman in the Flashpoint universe is because Bruce gets killed instead of his parents in the alleyway. So that obviously creates a diverging timeline and sets Thomas on a path to become a Batman who is a very brutal crime fighter. But it's not just that. It's as he comes back over here into Bruce's universe, he realizes Bruce is alive and he wants to save his son.
Mm-hmm.
There's very real concern. So I'll go ahead and let you have the floor as to what are your thoughts here.
This is the best part of. I don't totally love City of Bane, but I love this element of it.
Right.
Thomas Wayne has been Batman in the Flashpoint universe for a long time. And he has killed a lot of people, and it's taken his soul. He no longer sees the virtue of being Batman. He sees it as a curse. And he sees his son as somebody who has opportunities. He has choices. You know, in the Flashpoint universe, like that's a world going over the falls in a barrel. And so he's just sort of, you know, it's kind of like the Injustice universe or whatever, where like they're just fighting to survive at this point. There's no world really left to save. In this whatever universe we're in Rebirth, there is a universe left to save. There's a whole, you know, he doesn't have to be Batman. He can be Bruce Wayne. He can save his soul. He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to live with the futility of being Batman and perpetually failing because it never ends. You know, Batman never kills the Joker, never kills the Riddler, he never kills Penguin, he never kills Mad Hatter, he never kills Scarecrow. So they just keep all breaking out of Arkham over and over and over again. We're long past the days of I became a mass vigilante in the street because the mob had so completely corrupted the justice system that I was leveling the playing field. Now it's a constant, you know, fighting a murderous circus of crazy people, and it never stops, and they just get crazier over time, and there's just more of them. And so he's like, I'm hurting you to help you. I did this to put you in a position of rethinking this entire Batman thing because it's gotten away from you. You've gotten away from yourself, and you need to remember who you are. You're not Batman. You're Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Be Bruce Wayne. You are one of the lucky souls in this world who has found true love. You have Kat. You have Selena Kyle, who loves you more than life itself. Go be with her. You have Dick and Damian and I can't remember the chick who's Batwoman. You have Barbara or whatever iteration of Batgirl this is. You have family. You have a life. Go live it. Stop dedicating yourself to this suicide crusade. And if I have to, and as your father, and boy, do I empathize with this. As your father, I'm willing to be the bad guy and hurt you so that you'll understand that what you're doing is wrong.
Mm.
And it's one of the few deft elements of writing Tom King has it, because I tend to think Tom King, and we didn't talk about it yet, but his dialogue between Batman and Catwoman is awful. It's just It sounds Robert's new last couple of months. Everything out of Robert's mouth is it's some adolescent tween's Tumblr post, Tumblr ramblings. And that's kind of what it reminds me of. Like when Batman and Catwoman talk to each other, it feels like overly romanticized. It feels like my daughter's mangas that she reads.
Oh yeah.
Like there should be
Okay.
there should be like hearts around the speech bubbles. It doesn't feel like those characters. It feels like someone's romance novel interpretation of Batman and Catwoman.
Mm.
And I think a lot of Tom King kind of reminds me of Kevin Smith, Guardian Angel or Guardian Devil. The Daredevil.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
That was dense.
Yeah. He likes the sound of his own writing. But the stuff with Thomas Wayne, I think, was on point and was actually handled well.
Right. I mean, this is a guy that sees his own failures. I think he, as driven as he was to be the Batman of his universe,
Mm-hmm.
Thomas comes over to ours, and now he has a son that he wants the best for. He didn't have a son over there. He lost his son.
I think it's about
I should
legacy.
say.
I think it's about legacy. It's about, did I save anybody? Did
Right.
I do what I set out to do? No. Well, can I at least save my son? I have a second
Right.
shot. I couldn't save him from Joe Chill. I'm going to save him this time.
Yeah, he looks at his own failures as well as being Batman and sees that his son has gone down the same path and does not want that for him at all. He
Right.
wants him to be like, okay, you need to understand.
We all want better for our children. I don't want my son to turn out like me. Ugh.
So it's a very real thing, and I agree with you. I think Tom King addresses this and approaches it and uses it well because now Bruce has a father figure that is in his own twisted way trying to make sure that this kid does not do the same thing. And granted, it's I assume he probably tried to talk to him at some point in the past, and then Bruce wasn't having it. And then as Thomas went on, he's like, okay, well, I've got to take every ounce of action that I can to try and make sure Bruce gets out of. Yeah,
this is gonna hurt me more than it does you.
Right. So, but yeah, those are my notes for these 3 issues. I really didn't have anything else. I mean, really, we don't have much. We have the Bat family try to take down Thomas Wayne, but Thomas Wayne, as he's laying in a beaten, bloody pulp, he gets up, and the rest of the Bat family are kind of like, okay, should we show him mercy or not? And he then turns the tables on him, and there's a great couple lines too about
how useless is the Bat family, by the way. There's like 80 of them, and they couldn't take down one old man.
They beat the crap out of him too.
Mm.
But you mentioned how Bruce gets children to fight for him, and that's what Thomas sees too.
Right.
Thomas sees that, and he's like, this is wrong. How do you guys not realize that this is not what's supposed to be? This should not be going on.
I just imagine that. Like, hear me out. I would like to take this 14-year-old,
right,
train him to be a ninja, and have him beat up muggers.
Yeah,
you'd get arrested for that anywhere else in the world.
Again, another
Robin / Dick Grayson / Nightwing is a beloved character, but in reality, it was child abuse.
Yeah, you are. And Thomas is sitting there going, how do you guys not see this? How do you not understand? Now, granted, we find out later that, he kind of did the same thing with the Selena Kyle of his universe. But again, it might have been a mistake that he realized was wrong and is like, okay, my son cannot continue to do this. I've got to stop him in some way. So anything left on your plate that you want to get off your chest here about these 3 issues?
Thomas Wayne is trying to save his own soul by saving his son's life, and his son will not cooperate.
No, his son will not.
The moral of this story.
That's the truth. All right, I want to just you don't have to do plugs again. I'm just going to copy and paste what you put in there at the end of the other episode, so I'll be good. Let's just go ahead and move on if you're good with that.
Take me home, Daddy-O.
issues 83 through 85. These three issues are going to finish out City of Bane. And I'll go ahead and drop what happens, brief discussion of what happens here in those three issues. In the after, let's try it again. So where we left off, Bane and Batman were squaring off. Bane and Bruce, I should say, when Thomas shows up and shoots both of them. So we're on a cliff. We got a little bit of a cliffhanger there with issue 82. Going into issue 83, in the aftermath of Alfred's death at the hands of Bane, Bruce mourns and reflects on the life and sacrifices of his loyal butler and father figure. This issue is a heart-wrenching exploration of Bruce's grief, and he reads a final letter from Alfred urging him to carry on and find happiness despite the tragedies he's endured.
Can I tell you how I would, if you put the panels of him and Selina against the panels of his reaction to Alfred's death, I would more believe that he was in love with Alfred than he was with Selina.
Oh, shoot. Issue 84. As Bruce confronts his father, Thomas Wayne, readers are taken through flashbacks revealing Thomas's twisted motivations and his belief that Bruce should abandon the cow for a life of peace. The issue builds tension between father and son, setting up their inevitable showdown as Thomas seeks to reshape Bruce's future, even if it means breaking him. And yeah, just to kind of throw this out there, issue 84 starts with them getting ready to square off. Backstory. Then, like, the final panel is them getting ready to square off. So, and finally, in issue 85, this was a weird issue as far as like structure goes, and I might bring that back up here in a few seconds. But in the climactic conclusion of City of Bane, Bruce and Selina Kyle team up to defeat Bane. Well, we already knew they defeated Bane to defeat Thomas Wayne, reclaiming Gotham and reasserting Bruce's commitment to his role as Batman. After the battle, Bruce and Selina reaffirm their love and consider a life together, while Bruce reflects on the nature of resilience and hope. The issue closes on a somber yet hopeful note, signaling both an end and a new beginning for Batman. All right. So 83 is when Batman, all these other issues, as we're leading up to this, Batman has no idea Alfred's dead. Has no clue. He's running around Gotham. He's fighting villains. He's fighting Bane with Catwoman at his side. But all this time, he just believes that Damian has been captured, if I remember correctly. And then when he awakens after getting shot in a dark room, sitting across from the dead body of Alfred, yeah, man, it was, and the art and the dialogue really captured some emotion there. Did you have any feelings or thoughts on that?
Yeah, the stuff with Batman and Alfred was heartbreaking. Like, I didn't have an emotional reaction to much of this book. Like, I just said I like the stuff with Thomas Wayne and Bruce, but other than that, like, none of the Bane stuff moved me at all. None of the Selina Kyle Batman stuff moved me at all. Him reacting to Alfred's death, like, that was truly heart-wrenching. Like, you know me, I always see things in like as a movie or a TV show. Like, I pictured Batman's reaction to Alfred's death in my head as like a movie scene, and like it made me tear up a little bit. Like, that brought some legitimate emotion out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it was rough because the dialogue throughout this whole thing, as you're just watching Batman react and try to get out of there, is just a letter that was written by Alfred shortly prior to his death, because he's talking about how Thomas had captured him and holding him hostage and blah blah blah. But go ahead.
Alfred has also been trying to get Batman to give this up for the longest time, basically saying, like, I think one of the most Alfred thing Alfred does is try to remind him, you were a human being once before you became this fucking all killing fighting machine,
all consumed.
Yeah, like, I think Alfred's not just like a father figure in terms of he was an adult mentor and made sure Batman brushed his teeth and wiped his ass. He was also like, this is how you become a man. And when in those early like year one years when Bruce Wayne's doing the Batman thing, there's Alfred going, watch you don't go over the falls in a barrel. Watch you don't completely lose your humanity to this, because I can already see that that's starting to happen. You know,
And now, mind you, remember we talked about Tom King breaking the furniture.
mhm.
He's now set it in place that he's taken that away, which is interesting.
Even more interesting than that, I think, is that he replaced, and I don't know what this says about Tom King. He replaced that person in Bruce's life with Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman is his new Alfred. Catwoman
Right.
is his like new sounding board, his new not mentor, but he's somebody there to be like to remind his Jiminy Cricket, like
Guiding light.
yeah, she's there to remind Bruce to not lose his humanity.
Right. And the thing is that that's when you compare Alfred and Selena Kyle.
Mhm.
I mean, one's better to look at for sure, but
I
the
feel
problem
like
is
you're being very judgy. Like you don't think
hey, I just said one. You don't know which one I'm talking about. So,
you don't want to bang old men doesn't mean old men aren't bangable, Jesse.
I didn't say
year
a
of our
word.
Lord.
I didn't say anything
2024.
about that. I didn't say anything about that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that
Mhm.
you are replacing her, and she's not like the most oh my goodness, probably not got the best resume to do something like that.
Oh, she's so funny because she's like, I stole a diamond. It's like, after everything I've done, after all the ways I helped you, like, don't I deserve this diamond? He's like, no, 'cause you stole it. See, you shouldn't have stolen. You shouldn't have stolen things. She's like,
all right.
seems like a dumb rule. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff where I like their relationship when they're doing the kind of overly poetic, pseudo poetic, Tumblr romance, bat and cat stuff. I want to eat a gun.
Well, anyway, we watch Batman go through grief and rage, and all he wants is a piece of like just a punch his dad right in the face.
I mean, who doesn't want to punch their dad in the face?
My next note here is issue 84, and I said that this was my favorite issue out of this whole series. At first I didn't. I read this whole series pretty much twice, and this issue I didn't like because the structure of this issue specifically was every page had earlier at the top.
Oh my God.
You're essentially reading backwards.
I wanted to beat Tom King.
It's like so I mean I don't know why we couldn't put it the other way around, but whatever. Okay, I guess I understand. This is a neat way of trying to tell a story. But what the core of that story is though is how messed up Thomas Wayne's universe is.
Yeah.
How it shows you what the death of a child could do to somebody.
Sure.
And clearly it drove Thomas to become Batman, but not only that, it was also the fact that Martha went insane and became the Joker.
My understanding is that he already had like mental problems, but like she was like medicated and she was medicated. It was handled, and then the death of her son, like basically she snapped.
Yeah, man. There's some panels in that book, in that issue, the one where Thomas is trying to perform, I think, CPR or to help his son, while Martha is laying on the ground
giving
going
him CPR while he has a fucking bullet wound.
Maybe that might not be it, but either way, maybe he's trying to apply pressure. He's trying to stop the bleeding. He's trying to save his son.
Yeah.
And Martha's over there going, "My pearls, where are my pearls?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, and you just watch how it affects him. Number one, and watching. I mean, this is Batman with a gun. This is Batman with no compunction. This is the Batman that everybody says needs to happen to Gotham.
Right.
Because he needs to kill the criminals and get them out of there. And that way we don't have a Joker going to Arkham. Batman just was like, Thomas Wayne had a gun and there was that moment where he captures or, he pins down the Penguin and the Penguin's like, wow, you got me. And he's like, "Yep, thanks for giving up." And he just shoots him right in the head. And you're like, wow.
At some point, when you decide that human life has no inherent value and that, the ends justify the means, your soul is gone.
Right.
It becomes nothing to kill people. The reason why we make such an issue out of it in culture is when you start allowing, this is why, like, the abortion debate is what it is, why death penalty is what it is, why we have conversations about why can't we just kill people. Because once you start down culturally, legally, socially, once you start down the path of it's okay to kill people, it never stops.
Mm.
Because the phrase and saying from years ago, and I'm gonna massacre it, but first they came for the gypsies, then they came for the Russians, and then they came for this, and then they came for me, and there was nobody left. It becomes really easy to say, well, we'll just kill the criminals. Well, then how are you defining criminal?
Right.
Are we talking just murderers? Oh, we're just gonna kill the murderers. Oh, and we're just gonna kill the sex offenders. Okay. Well, why are we stopping there? Like now, now let any violent offender. And where does it end? Now it's now we're in the crucible. Like there's a reason why, and not to get off on a tangent, but
No, I love it.
We read books in school to teach us why our morals and social contracting are the way that they are. We read things like The Crucible that talk about, life during the Salem witch trials, and it was really about like land grabs and stuff like that, because we're supposed to take the moral lesson from these things of don't do that. Civil War wasn't the best movie, and I'm not talking about the comic book Civil War. I mean, like the one from earlier this year at Reese Witherspoon. Or no, it wasn't Reese Witherspoon. It was the other one. Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst.
It was the Civil War was
girl.
Kirsten Dunst. Wait a second, you're still talking Marvel movies? No, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Spider-Man. My
Spider-Man.
bad. Go ahead.
The Civil War movie from earlier this year, she has a line in it, and she's like, I went overseas to file reports on the wars I was covering to tell the people at home, don't do this. And that's exactly what we did. So rounding this all the way back to Thomas Wayne, you can justify, well, I'm just killing like the criminally insane. The people that there's no way to rehabilitate these people. There's nothing we can do. Like, why not kill the Joker? Everyone says kill the Joker. The Joker's killed up to zillion people at this point. He's made life miserable for people in Gotham. And everyone's like, why do we keep trying? Well, we keep trying because that's what makes us decent human beings.
Human beings, right. Right.
When we stop trying, there goes the social contracting, and now we just have anarchy, might makes right. We get a lot of people who are going to get brutalized if we just give into that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, I think what stuck out to me was
Welcome to your pansy liberal conversation of this of this comic book podcast. People listening to this going, "Fuck you, Radulich, more guns."
Well, everything that you're talking about here is, I think, what is being on display in this comic. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's showing you that one man, Thomas Wayne, subscribed to that theory.
Yep.
And realizes that I do not want this for my son. I'm the broken one here.
Right. I'm too far gone. Save yourself.
Right. I'm the broken one. But really what you begin to see is that how that one event, that one violent event of somebody showing up in an alley and shooting a family member broke both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both of them are broke. Batman is broken.
Can we think about
let's try again. Bruce Wayne is broken. Thomas Wayne is broken. Well, both of them are broken.
It is an interesting interpretation of the character that all of these things have happened to Bruce Wayne and none of those things broke him. Two breakings of his back, the beating and subsequent blowing up of Jason Todd, the alleged sexual assault and molestation of Barbara Gordon and her crippling. Whatever the fuck the Joker did to Jim Gordon in The Killing Joke. Like, all the shit that has happened to Batman over the years, and he's still like, nope, I'm good. I'm gonna keep. You know, that's an interesting thing to me.
Well, I contend, and as you might be able to see, but I contend that him being Batman in the first place, obviously, and I think you'd agree, is the broken aspect of Bruce Wayne. The fact that he wants to be, and I think that's where Thomas is like, Thomas sees, and I had to read this a couple times to understand this, but Thomas sees Bruce's actions as addiction. Like he is addicted to being Batman, and he's like, I've got to break this addiction, and this is the only way that I can do it.
I think it's a trauma response, don't you think?
Trauma response, absolutely.
I had no power in that alley with Joe Chill to save my parents, and so I'm trying to take power back from myself by asserting it in this Batman way. I can't stop being Batman because I'm not quite over the fact that I couldn't save my parents.
Yeah. Man, I was just thinking about that one panel where Thomas has Joe Chill on the ground afterwards. He like finds him and beats him with a rock and kills him. And clearly
kind of reminds me of Chris and Snoop and Bug's father, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. From The Wire?
From The Wire.
The Wire.
Yes, Cat. The Wire.
That's right, Bat. The Wire. Yeah, so I think that obviously the big difference between Bruce and Thomas is the fact that Bruce has hope. And that is also a big, I say big, but
I think Batman benefits from having the Wonder Womans and Supermans in his life. Thomas Wayne.
Well, sure. Thomas definitely doesn't. He had Selina, because I mentioned this earlier. He had Selina under his wing at one point. Goes up, I think they go up to like where he lives, and there sits Martha as the Joker, and she shoots Selina, I assume killing her. Yeah. So again, another like notch in this belt of despair that Thomas Wayne has. But I was talking about how Bruce kind of has this hope. And as brooding and as bad as his, as dour as Bruce's Batman is, that's why he doesn't kill. Just like you mentioned earlier, he puts these people in Arkham because he believes that somehow, maybe there's some way we can break these. A human being can shine through and get to this person or something like that. Thomas does not have that. So there's a couple other sections in this issue. There's the point where Bruce goes to the bar and runs into a guy, and all they're doing is talking about a football game. But again, they're talking about this quarterback that's put in, whatever quarterback you bet on, I'm sure, Mark. But did you do any betting today?
No, I went back and looked at my last 2-week pay period, and I saw how much I bet and how much I lost, and decided I needed to take a break.
Okay. All right. So good. Anyway, so he goes into this bar, and they're talking about how the the Gotham Knights, or whatever the name of their football team is, put this quarterback in here who just sucks, absolutely sucks. And one guy's like, "Oh, this guy sucks. We ain't going to win this game. And Bruce is sitting over there. He's like, "You never know. And then turns out the guy ends up throwing a touchdown, and a Hail Mary touchdown, and they end up winning. So another, I think the reason it was so weird, because I didn't understand why it fit in this story at first, but now I realize what you're showing here is that Bruce, is somebody that can foster hope. He does see that possibility of something happening.
A life without hope is no life at all.
That's the truth. You said you read I Am Suicide. And I know this was mentioned in some of the research that I was looking at, but one of the big things that kind of came out of this, Batman had pondered, had considered taking his own life at one point. Is that mentioned in I Am Suicide at all?
It has been so long, I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, Bruce had apparently at one point thought about committing suicide, and that's mentioned in here, which I think was a big deal. A lot of people, saw, but the thing is like, it didn't hit me as like that wouldn't be something that somebody would consider going through what they're going through. So there is, oh man, the best line of the whole comic is when Thomas finally gives up. He says, okay, all right. And he stands up after pulling a gun on his own son, doesn't kill his son, doesn't pull the trigger. And he goes through like, listen, I just want what's best for you, blah, blah, blah. And there's the best line of this whole thing is when he looks down, he's like, when will you listen to your father?
We've all said that.
Oh my gosh, have I said that?
And all of our fathers have said it to us. My father's still saying it to me.
When will you listen to your father? Because that's just, that's what fathers are. They want what's best for their kids. And no matter what, you watch this person make this mistake that you think is the biggest mistake of their lives, or, it could be a small mistake. Just listen to me, please. But then Bruce fires back with, I need you to understand something. And then punches his dad square in the fucking face and says, you are not my father, which, okay, good point. I guess he's not, because he is definitely Flashpoint Batman. So,
right. And I think that's valid. I think Thomas Wayne's projecting so much onto this Earth's Batman without that recognition of that isn't really your son. Your son died. Who knows what Bruce would have turned out to be had he not been shot in the alley, or the alley incident never happens. And so he's taking a lot of that what if and projecting it onto this iteration of Bruce. And I think it was like also a recognition that Alfred is, Bruce's father died. Bruce's father died in the alley right next to his mom and the pearls. And Bruce's father is, for all intents and purposes, was Alfred, and Alfred's gone.
And I think, who took him away from him.
Right. And so, I think, it's a very triumphant moment in the comic.
Yeah. All right, man. That's my thoughts on these issues. Why don't you sum up your thoughts here on the whole City of Bane story?
It's okay. Some of it's really, really good. Some of it's not great. Tom King likes the sound of his own writing, as I said before. I towards the end, I had to fucking speed read through some of this. I'm like, I'm not reading all this.
Okay.
Especially, I don't know if you read the annual where, it's like Monday this happens, Tuesday this happens, Wednesday this happens. But that's because I read the trade, and that's at the end of the trade.
I did not read the annual. I don't know what issue that wasn't in these issues, was it?
It's in the trade, but no, it's not part of it's not. It's said to be part of the story, but it's like an epilogue.
Gotcha.
Basically, like, my only final word on this is I'm not unhappy that I read it. I like talking about it with you. It was fine. It was a fine read for today, my lazy Sunday. But I think I think Tom King assumes a lot about his readers that I don't know if it's true. I know I struggled with some of the non-linear storytelling.
Yeah, it's rough.
The purple prose between Catwoman and Batman was annoying. There's a bit of almost like a singy, songy quality to some of the writing in this. And it's like, I wish you'd focus a little bit more on the narrative and a little less on the prose. But ultimately, if, I just gave it to my son, I did not hesitate. He was like, can I read that? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Maybe my son will enjoy it. Maybe he won't. Who knows? Especially without having read the first 74 issues.
Jeez.
But I think I have definitely read worse Batman stories.
Yeah, I think I took a little bit from this. I'm glad to see that Catwoman and Batman are the cat and the bat are kind of patching things up. That's kind of nice to know.
It was so funny at the end. Like, we don't need a wedding. Like, what does a wedding do for us?
Right.
I like the idea of I just want to be with you. We don't need the pomp and circumstance.
Mm-hmm. But I adore the message they're trying to get across about fathers and sons. I think that there's a lot of meat on the bone there that Tom King is giving us for that. Whether in a DC multiverse setting too, which is kind of it's odd, but it's great.
He covered a lot of that kind of thing in the Vision too. Like Tom King definitely has some concerted opinions about family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think that's it, man. That's our discussion on the City of Bane. Let's go ahead and get into plugs. You can be specific about these plugs if you want, because for our live listeners.
Jesse, before we do, I want to give you the gift of song.
Oh, we are going to jump into. Oh, I'm so excited. AI has come to the rescue.
So I said at the beginning of the podcast, I took the summary, turned it into song lyrics, put the lyrics into Suno.ai, and I said, get this as close to City of Flame with Rock and Roll, the Blue Oyster Cult song, as you can. And it went, well, no. But we'll try to get the tone at least right. Okay, sure. And I didn't fuck with it at all like we do on sessions, but I kind of there were two different versions of this, and I like this first one. So here it is. This is my City of Bane song, inspired by all of my sessions with Jesse as we play with AI and make music. I was like, this podcast needs a song. So here's that song.
Gotham cries in darkness, villains reign supreme. City streets are twisted, shadowed like a dream. Of fathers and the twisted fate, shadows cast in stone. Thomas stands beside Bane, turning blood to bone. Except the back was broken, brought down to his knees. But the dark won't be conquered, no, not so easily. City of Bane under his control. City of Bane, fire in every soul. Rules carving venom, fear takes its toll. City of Bane, but the night claims all. Healing haunted, scars beneath the mask. The broken love and shadows beat, he reclaims the task. Cat comes close, their hearts beat fierce and strong. Joe against the nightmare, to right what's gone so wrong. The villains march with badges, their law twisted stain. But the bat will return, bring the fire and the rain. City of Bane under his control. City of Bane, fire in every soul. Rules carving venom, fear takes its toll. City of Bane, but the night claims all. The bat was broken, brought down to his knees. But the dark won't be conquered, won't be conquered, no, not so easily. They clash like thunder, shadows black and gray. A father's twisted love meets a son who won't betray. In Gotham's breaking dawn, justice lights the street. The bat casts its all, Bane's defeat complete. City of Bane, done and free. City of Bane, fire in every soul. Rules carved in venom, takes its toll. City of Bane, but the night claims all. The bat won't break, his vow remains. A symbol born from loss and pain. Gotham's light through darkest reign. Forever beyond the City of Bane. His vow remains, a symbol born from loss and pain. Gotham's light through darkest reign, forever beyond the City of Bane. Father and son, a war within their blood. One wants his freedom, the other drowns in mud. Thomas stands for peace, but it's peace without a soul. Bruce knows the city's heart is a fire in control. The villains march with badges, their law twisted stain. But the bat will return, bring the fire in the rain. They clash like thunder, shadows black and gray. One wants his freedom, needs a son who won't betray. Thomas stands for peace, but it's peace without a soul. Bruce knows the city's heart is a fire in control. They clash like thunder, shadows black and gray. A father's twisted love meets a son who won't betray. And God is breaking
All right, yeah, I probably should have ended that a bit.
We should have cropped that stuff out a minute and a half ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that's hilarious.
at that last minute and like 45, I'm like, get that out. Minute and 15.
Suno has some. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I want to end the song, but oh no, I'm not going to end the song.
Yeah,
Here it
like,
comes.
It
We're
doesn't want
coming
to
back.
stop.
We're coming back. That's
how
hilarious.
good is that though? It's not quite
That's
Blue
good
Oyster Cult, but it's good.
Well, my favorite part about watching Suno come up with some stuff is the lyrics too, because the lyrics, you know, granted you may threw that in it. There was I think it was a rules made in Venom or something along those lines. I was like, that's great. That's a nice
some
touch.
quality lines in there. All right. That's gonna go up on my TikTok, and my TikTok is at Mark Radulich on TikTok. That's MarkRadulich. All of the video is on YouTube, W2M Network. We have a landing page, W2Mnet.com, and if you actually want to listen to podcasts the way God intended in an audio format, it's all under the Radulich and Broadcasting Network umbrella. Which I went on a date the other day. And I was telling the date that I was telling her that hey date. I was telling her that I completely stole like from Rush Limbaugh. You know, instead of the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, it's the Radulich and Broadcasting Network because I'm ego. So anyway, but all of the audio is under Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So if you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts and you type in Radulich, there's only one of me and only I do podcasts. So it's not going to be that hard to find. And you'll hear the latest ones. I don't know when these are going up, but we have our new movie reviews on Damn You Hollywood. We have our theme triple features. We have our on trials. I've done a bunch of on trials lately. I did 2 in 1 week. I did one for Veterans Day, and I did one with Evan Bevins to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Big Hero 6. Nice. Evan knows so much about comic books, but he won't admit that you guys play Naked Snap. He won't admit to the strip snap, Jesse. I tried to break him like Bane.
Oh, strip snap.
But he won't admit to it. All right. That's it. I'm done talking now.
He's done talking now.
Hey, the next time that we get together, we got
tomorrow.
No.
Okay.
We got a sessions. If it haven't happened already, we have a sessions coming up. But the next time we're recording comic books, we'll be doing Sons of Anarchy volumes 4 through 6.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see what they come up.
Maybe we'll do another song.
Oh yeah, I mean, my goodness, we've got this one tonight's going on the source material, the music volume 2 for sure.
You're welcome. Yeah,
that is.
Make sure you edit it first.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So listen, for the live listeners right now. Well, I mean, anybody listening, go to the Source Material Comics feed that's out there. Source Material Comics podcast feed. Should be able to find that on any podcatcher. Should be able to punch that into YouTube, find the YouTube channel as well. We talk about comics of any era on the Source Material Comics podcast. And then, of course, Mark mentioned Strip Snap, which is actually a variation of the Snap Material podcast that Ivan and myself get together and talk about Marvel Snap. We actually recorded a couple days ago, I think. So I've got episodes ready to rock and roll. It'll probably be dropping this week as we're talking. And the Unspoken Issues podcast, we are going to, I've already aired it, but for Veterans Day, we're going to post it on the Unspoken Decade. We talked a book called Enemy Ace War Idol, and it is a great story. It's a very touching story about Enemy Ace and his final days. So if you are an Enemy Ace fan from DC Comics, then you may want to tune in. That story got released, I think, in 1990, and it is very, very in tune with Veterans Day. So if you get a chance, check that out. As far as for the live audience, yeah, hey, I'm going to be on Ash versus Evil Dead tomorrow. I'm also going to be taking part of the Cape Crusader. That's right. Mm-hmm. It's nailed down. TV party tonight.
By the time these air, they'll already aired, Jesse.
That's right. I'm telling them for live listeners. We got one live listener right now. They may want to know. And then the Metal Hammer of Doom Jukebox happening on Thursday. I'm going to be part of that. And then I'm going to be doing an unspoken issues on G.I. Joe 108 through 115.
It's the Metal Hammer of Mick Wanamaker. That's what that is.
Wanamaker. So anyway,
It's the Mick Wanamaker jukebox.
yeah, she's all excited about the Slipknot stuff. So I'm going to have to. I'm going to be listening. I'm excited. I'm done talking now. Mark, thanks for coming on here, talking
Absolutely.
about.
All right. We don't have like outro music because like we just sort of decided to start doing this live. So here we go. Jesse, take us home.
We're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Gotham cries in darkness, villains reign supreme. City streets are twisted, shadowed like a dream. A father's hand, a twisted fate, shadows cast in stone. Thomas stands beside Bane, turning blood to bone. They said the bat was broken,